Welcome back to Burgundy Banter. This is a emergency pod, not a mere 20 minutes after finishing the first episode. We have a turnaround emergency pod. The Colorado Rapids have acquired midfielder Josh Atencio from the Seattle Sounders. Per sources, Seattle will receive 1.3 million GAM in add-ons. Atencio will remain a U22 initiative player for Colorado. Damn, just broke the Discord server just now.
Smashed, completely cracked.
How are we feeling?
Oh, I'm
Fired up.
ecstatic. Let's go. Defensive midfielder U22 signing. That's our last U22 slot. That's exactly what we need. Great player. Wonderful
I don't know if
youth
it's
player.
exactly what we need, but
To close out games, bring in for like 20 minutes when you got the lead, somebody's physical who can
Josh,
tackle
no,
well.
this is not a.
Well,
no,
we
you
said
don't,
that.
you don't sign
No.
Josh Atencio to sit on the bench, bro. Like
Agreed.
he's going to be a starter 100%.
So who lose their
100%.
spot? What happens to Ollie?
You know who? Yeah, that you just said Ollie. Ollie Laraz has to be looking at this like, what the fuck? Because this is a direct shot in his direction. You've got a guy who does play defensively in midfield, but he averages 2 shots per game. And his defensive statistics are tremendous against midfielders in the league. So, wow. We were just talking about GAM and whether so assume you've listened to the previous pod. If not, we talked about the fact that we had accrued a bit of GAM here recently, and we may not be looking further afield for foreign players as we're trading off international slots. We may be looking for somebody a little closer to home. This is very close to home, and boys, this is a signing.
I'm sorry.
Well, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
What were you gonna say? Because I'm currently looking up his stats from last season, and I've always rated Joshua Atencio. I've always felt as though, if you know about him, he had lost his spot due to Obed Vargas, the 18-year-old wonder kid coming in, who overtook his spot. And Atencio at 23, he's still U22. That is very little cap hit, and that those U22 initiative signings, like if the Rapids aren't gonna find a good foreign Galvan type player, because it's very hard to distinguish young players from abroad, especially given that there could be cultural barriers to to jump through. There's none of that for Atencio. I mean, he's domestic, and we talked about it, like on the pod. There's no way that the Rapids are going to go out and get somebody abroad now with, trading of that international slot. That also broke during that podcast. So should have known some stuff was coming up. But what are you feeling about this, Jim? Sorry to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. Fired up. We were just talking about. The war chest of GAM. Right,
Yeah.
the war chest of GAM. Well, we used a war chest of GAM on this. It says plus add-ons. I don't know what those are, but yeah, like this is a nice signing. And if you're Ollie Laraz, you are shitting your pants right now because this is the guy that's going to come in and immediately give competition to that spot. I watch a lot of Brian Schmetzer interviews because I think he's like kind of funny sometimes because he just trashes reporters. And Brian Schmetzer always talked really high about Josh Atencio. So he's 23. He made 111 appearances for Seattle, according to Bogert. That's a pretty experienced player in MLS for his age. It fits the Rapids profile of youth and Chris Armas and all that. So fired up, man. Fired up. Enough said.
B-Ray, what are you thinking?
Well, again, concern is Laraz. Where do you put him in there? Does this confirm a formation change? How is he going to fit in there? I still think maybe there could be a lot of coming off the bench for Atencio to start with. He's got to get up to speed to the Armas system. It's a great signing, though. This is exactly kind of the last piece we're looking for. Defensive mid who can tackle. I'm looking at his defensive stats right now per 90, and they're just absolutely through the roof. So I am
Green
very
everywhere.
excited. Green everywhere. Tackles 1, duels 1, interceptions, blocks. Everything is high. So
But
I'm
while
very
you check out
excited for
FB
this.
Ref, let me point out one thing just to kind of temper all the excitement. Pass completion's bullshit.
Just about to say
So,
that.
Debbie
you know,
Downer.
hey, the thing is, we've got players like Ronan and Bassett and Larraz who he'll be playing next to, who tend to complete a lot of passes. So that may not be the worst thing ever. We needed the destroyer, we needed the defender to have the defensive stats he has. This is definitely the type of player that we are looking for in that type of 6 role. And I am very, very happy. What a day to have done a podcast an hour before this happens.
I will
It's
say
good news that MLS deal went through.
that's true.
Well, it's not finalized yet. This is just Tom Bogert reporting. The club hasn't put out an announcement yet.
It's
Well, they won't
finalized.
put out an
It's
announcement
finalized.
for another week and a half. They've got to get him here, do the photo shoot, print a couple of jerseys.
I have one other thing to add to the Debbie Downer parade.
Oh no.
1,069 minutes.
Nice.
Compared to Ollie Larraz's 2,000 plus minutes, Connor Ronan's 2,000 plus, Cole Bassett's 2,000 plus there too, right? So Atencio's coming off a shaky start, some injuries sprinkled throughout last season, but I think if anything, just me kind of spouting off all those numbers there, it's going to give those guys a break. Because I know we're all saying Ollie is going to shit his pants and he's a very reliable starter. But he also benefits from having to come off the bench and be the closing guy, more so than Atencio, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wanna stand for Ollie too. He ain't shitting his pants. He's looking at this going, I got one more motherfucker to beat out. Because guess what? He didn't walk into last season knowing he had a spot in the team. He had to beat people out, and that's what he did because he's a dog.
R.I.P. Lamine Diaz. Maybe I'm the one shitting my pants, guys.
No, Connor Ronan shitting his pants. Does this mean that Connor Ronan might be out?
This-
Maybe there's
you
a
know
trade
what?
Connor
somewhere?
Ronan out.
Listen, I talked about Connor Ronan out last year. Would it not make sense? Could we not capitalize on a player that still has a bit of value? But to me, boy, he's down the pecking order in who I want to see in this midfield
So
this year.
Connor Ronan to San Jose rumors. Let's get it started.
Keep
Oh,
hey,
gosh.
put it out there. Put it out there. Maybe float out a couple of fake stories on Twitter. Contact an agent or two. Say,
What
hey,
was
what
your
do you think
source?
about this?
What was your
Yeah, I'm
source?
hearing Auckland FC is looking at Connor Ronan.
Auckland for Ronan. No,
All right, there we go.
You can always say
And then
your
I'm going to
source was
back
just
up Ronan. I'm
banter.
going to say, if you're still on this team, boy, you better ball out.
Burgundy Banter's the source.
Yeah, it's just banter at the end of the day, right? But
Follow what it is.
so let's figure out the setup here, because in the Armistice 4-2-3-1, are we assuming this all? I mean, we could also see Atencio and Larraz start next to each other, and this also might mean the return of Cole Bassett at a forward position, which I am not a fan of. I went on heavy to say that I think he should stay in that holding midfield role. But how are you setting this up, guys? Are we leaning 4-2-3-1, 3-4-3? Like, I see the Rapids rumors of going to the 3-4-3, but I don't know. We still have yet to see it. But let me start with Jared, since he's over here chiming off. How would you set up the Rapids with Atencio?
I'll always chime off. 3-4-3 and a 5-back system are the same thing, because
Yes, correct.
you can adjust that however you like, but the players that you decide to deploy in the positions dictate where their heat chart is going to wind up. I think a three-back system benefits us in multiple ways. You can get Sam Vines forward. He's very comfortable going forward on the wing. It also provides a spot for Reggie Cannon, who right now is a man without a home in the Rapids just everyday lineup if you run a 4-back, because you have Keegan Rosenberry, who's obviously a very accomplished right back, but let's just say doesn't provide as much going forward, bombing up the field. Now, I've seen him play a few balls. He can leather across when he needs to, but that's just not his game. So now we have the opportunity where when we go 3-back, we have 4 center backs, and then you also have Rosenberry, who can be one of those. Or if we need to tuck it back at the end of a game and you're running a deep block, then you can put Rosenberry in on that right side, tuck it all home. I think that the three back and 5 back system, I think that's something that we will play with quite a bit given the team that we have. Absolutely.
What about you, B-Ray? How are you setting up the team with that in mind?
So I've always been on the 3-back train, going the 3-4-3 setup. I think with Atencio, though, they lean more to a 4-back system. I think that provides the defensive cover to where you don't need that third center back. So I kind of think this is going to reaffirm going well with what we did last year, playing with the double pivot. I think that's kind of.
And who is in your double pivot?
And it's going to be, like you said earlier, maybe this relieves pressure off of Larraz, and Larraz is the guy off the bench, and we'll see what happens with Ronan. And it's just Bassett and Atencio down there as the double pivot.
What about you, Jim? Is that what you're leaning as well?
I'm leaning that way. I think this move just really helps our depth. Like we saw last year after the Leagues Cup run, we were gassed, right? We were gassed. And Bassett went down and, it just wasn't the same. So like, yeah, I'm okay with keeping it the same. I'm no tactician or, tactical expert or tactical manager. It's like, nah, he's not really. But I don't really know right now. I'd have to see. Yeah, it's just depth for me, right? Like it's just another piece that we can utilize that might take minutes off of somebody kind of towards the end of the season when we need it.
My one final detraction, I will say, and I had to get it in here because if I'm not going to say it, somebody on Facebook, your local Facebook forums is going to say it, someone on your local Reddit threads is going to say it, somebody in a random Twitter, burner account's going to say it. Why couldn't we get a striker? I think if you had spent
It's not impossible. It's still not impossible.
Still not impossible, right? But
Johnny Russell.
Oh God.
I mean, he's always. I mean, what international? You don't have an international spot,
Is he still international? Being this long?
Yeah,
I
he's
thought he
lived
was
here
green
for
card.
2 decades.
I thought he was green card. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
95% positive.
If that's the case, he's a likely player there. I think if the Rapids are like that one backup striker away from really being a complete team, I think, because if Navarro goes
No
down,
trust in Yapi.
It's not that there's no trust in Yapi. It's just that he really shouldn't be given that role to begin with. There needs to be
too much pressure for a young guy.
It's an earned amount of trust in Yapi. We believe Yapi is who Yapi has shown himself to be. And if he can improve on that dramatically, then he could be a reasonable second option. But even with a second option, having a third option that is another proven scorer wouldn't hurt anything, especially when Yapi's on the deal he's on.
Jazzy's
and Yapi's hurt right now.
Yeah, exactly, and he's hurt. So fucking yeah. We were talking last time about potential emergency striker.
Yeah, so I mean that's the last piece, right? For me, it's because injuries do happen, and if they were to come to the striker position, that's going to be a big hole to start. So, anything else on Joshua Atencio? It's looking like the Rapids' last move. We have what? How many more spots do we have open, B-Ray?
Let me pull that up right now. Let me just look at the salary. Let's go to Colorado.
And while we talk about it, I want to say that this is a much better player than we brought in with Leyva.
Yes,
and a much bemoaned move.
Much better.
So, we might have been still. I mean, I think there's ongoing conversations with Seattle, just in general. They've been a willing trade partner in the past. This is a player where you mentioned having a starlet coming in behind him makes him available. This is one that we could definitely take advantage of, I think.
I'm so excited for Atencio. He only lost his spot to an 18-year-old. That's the thing. And a very good 18-year-old at that in Obed Vargas. But that war chest of Gam finally came through. And
it did.
I had kept hearing about it, and I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. It manifested itself into Joshua Atencio. I'm thrilled about that because he's a class player, and I'm I think I don't know how he fits within the team just yet or how it builds off of him, but he's a very solid piece there. Just missing that backup striker, I think, honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So go back to your roster. So he would put us at 17 roster slots. Still unsure about Ali Fadal, if he's going to take a senior or a supplemental. And we don't know with options that were picked up last year going into this year if anybody goes on to the senior. Right now I have 17 slots. We have to have 18 senior slots to start the season. So there's still a little unknown about if any supplemental is going to be a senior compared to last year. And if Ali Fadal is on supplemental, then there's still another move that has to be made before the 22nd.
Does Jackson Travis fall into that senior mix at this point? He made quite a few appearances
Well,
for the
he
senior side
was
last year.
So he was supplemental last year. He's still considered a homegrown. His contract dollar amount still puts him at a supplemental. My question is more with Oliver Larraz because he had an option. We don't know if his option is for a higher ceiling salary that would convert him into a senior slot.
Well, if I were his agent, it would be.
Well, it is his last year with us, Ollie Larraz, so I could, we'll see what happens.
Oh no, it's not his last year with us.
Well, it's his last contract year. We'll have to renegotiate.
Yes,
but given this situation, if he wants more minutes somewhere and Atencio's there, that's going to be. He may have options elsewhere.
We're gonna have the BBL midfield for a decade.
Yeah, 10 years from now, Cole Bassett will retire and pass the captain's armband off to Oliver Larraz, and Oliver Larraz will lead us out.
I'm excited. I think the midfield's stacked. It's always has been, right? And so good to see.
So who you more excited for? Teddy or Atencio?
Teddy. Teddy's the attacker.
Okay.
Teddy's gonna score goals. He'll score more than Atencio, I think. That's a pretty easy claim, I think. Hopefully.
I'm more excited for Atencio over
bag,
Teddy.
Though. Yeah, I
exactly.
agree. I think you got to compare apples to apples.
No,
here.
I know, and that's why I'm doing that.
Atencio isn't the goal scorer.
Would you guys consider this maybe the kind of slight progressive move that we've been lacking? Or
100%.
No, I think this is more of a defensive move. This is another move to kind of protect our back line. Who, in all fairness, when we had Bombito, we had the fastest player in the motherfucking world, and he couldn't keep up with some of the breakaways that we were giving up.
But I'm just talking like we've talked about, the Rapids have one good season, then one bad season because of player movement. Do you guys feel like this really
to move the team forward? Yes. I thought you meant progressive on the field. I
worded it incorrect. I've had several hits of Magic Pen, so
no, you're good. I would say no, because this is a move we've seen before. This is this is as close as trading for Kellen Acosta, except we didn't give up a player. So in a sense that the Rapids didn't sell anyone, I think that's the big indicator there, right? Because follow-up seasons always come with a departure that is just hard to stomach. We had Austin Trusty for the following the 2021 season. Last year it was Rubio and Price. Those injuries for 2023, it's when you lose a player of importance that really affects the team. The fact that we didn't lose anyone this season is what should be the clear indicator of progress, less so whatever name comes through, I think.
I think this makes our offseason much better than what people were putting at it. If this is the bow at the end, I think this is a solid follow-up from last year's offseason.
I think there's more to come.
If there's more to come, I think that's just everything else is an addition.
Cherry on top.
Yes.
I think this was the wrapping paper, because when you get a gift with just wrapping paper, it's a gift. You love that. This isn't quite the bow. The bow would be that extra striker, in my opinion.
I agree.
Johnny Russell.
Almighty.
You keep saying Johnny Russell, and I think if you say
I'm going to will that to existence.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got a vibe, though. Johnny Russell to the Rapids would have a vibe.
Find me at Jared_Geisler and at Burgundy Social on Twitter. It's been real talking with you guys, and I'll be damned if we didn't get a signing right when we needed one.
Where can they find you, Rapids Bray?
You can find me in a couple weeks at the park for the home opener.
Where can they find you, Judgemental Jim?
Judgmental Jim Twitter, 118 Dix.
You can find me at Juanners715, at Juanners.bsky.social, and follow Box State Footy at Box State Footy on all platforms. Thank you.
There's only one Josh Atencio. One Josh Atencio.